Last week I posted a video saying that I wouldn't recommend buying the Air 2, the DJI Mavic Air 2. As I expected, it created some discussion and some people were hating a lot. I strongly believe that most of the content out on this platform remains very superficial, so I wanted to dig a little bit in deeper. And many people misunderstood me. I gave you a series of points to understand why I would not buy the Mavic Air 2 now, but I never said that the Mini 2 was a better drone. I clearly said, trying to make you understand that by enhancing so much the Mini 2, when having doubts between these two drones, I would definitely go for the Mini 2. I knew that it would create tension, especially from those people who just purchased the Mavic Air 2, of course. When my buddy Chivo saw the video, he got hysterical, and an hour later he brought me this. It's a series of writings he made after imploding watching my video saying, how could I say those things about the Air 2? And here are the best things of the Air 2 that the Mini 2 is not even capable of doing, he said. So I thought, okay, let me do a video about this, and actually, it's all things that we've been talking about ever since the Mini 2 was released. I share some of them, even though I think most of them I don't need, nor do I care about a drone having this for just uploading videos to YouTube and from a weekend traveling. And I will be as honest as I was in the previous video, with no censorship on my personal thoughts or whatsoever. My goal is that you, after watching this video and the previous one, have a clear, honest and a real idea of what both drones are and what they can do, and it helps you decide. For those of you who already have one or another, I think this vid is really relevant too, in order to see what you may have missed or not. You know, I like creating discussion, and even though it's sad that by one person giving an honest opinion, personal opinion, people feel offended and hating. But that's a whole other anthropologic question that I will never talk about in this channel. So let's go. Let's talk about video quality. A half-inch CMOS sensor, real 4K, HDR and 4K 60p, ISO 6400, H.265 and a bitrate of 120 megabits per second. Okay, thanks Chivo, you're a specs pro, but let's talk about it. Eventually, we all purchase our drone trying to film beautiful footage and take great pics, right? I mean, if we would just purchase a drone for the flying experience, we would go probably for an FPV drone. Correct? By the way, we'll be talking about these DJI FPV drone leaks in upcoming vids. Well, I told you that the sensor is bigger on the Air 2 than on the Mini 2. And I also said that you really don't recognize the difference on YouTube with a well-edited video. And let me just at this point highlight one last time that I didn't say the Air 2 was a bad drone, nor did I say the Mini 2 was better. I clearly said it was a purchasing decision if I didn't have a drone. Purely economical. So the more you pay, the better quality you get. That's a fact. I mean, the question is the price difference enough for the quality difference? Well, the half-inch sensor of the Air 2 will allow us doing a few extra things that the Mini 2 doesn't. For example, the 4K 60. 4K 60 has been something that has really made people crazy. When the Mavic 2 Pro came out, people were almost killing the company because it didn't have 4K 60. I mean, what's that all about? But okay, there are some people that just really shoot in 4K 60. It's true, Full HD 60 is terrible, especially in these DJI drones. Cropped, it has an awful quality in most drones. I personally never shoot in slow-mo anyway with drones, but people do speed ramps and some really interesting edits thanks to those 60p or even 120p. So okay, I respect that. Plus it also films in HDR video, which gives you a better dynamic range and an overall better output quality, if there is enough light of course, allowing the footage to not look as over-sharpened and smartphone-y like the Mini 2. Plus it gets up to ISO 6400, which of course you shouldn't be using, but it shows you that the sensor is capable of doing, you know, better things than the Mini 2's sensor, and that it can handle overall ISOs better. And lastly, it can also film in H.265 codec, which overall, even though it's really a heavy file output, it will give you less artifacts and errors on your footage, meaning overall a better quality. The same goes for the photo quality, with 48 megapixel and HDR. It's true, better sensor, higher quality, and yes, okay, you can do burst photos. I mean, yeah, well, okay. who cares about burst photos? Well, anyway, summing up this part, I still think the same way I did on the previous video. We're talking about sensors that are so small that these differences aren't really worth to me. Plus, as most of you will be uploading vids to YouTube, I don't think you will do paid jobs with a Mini 2, right? I mean, that even compresses everything more and lets you have a very similar quality. About the camera specs on DJI, I've always said that they have developed this high standards and specs, and then they can rearrange and limit those specs within their whole drone line, giving the Mavic 2 Pro the top specs, and then the Mavic Air 2 here, and then the Mavic Mini 2 here, and all that, you know what I mean. But the interesting thing is that the Air 2, when it launched, actually overlapped the Mavic 2 Pro in many specs, like for example the 4K 60. And now the Mini 2 is also kind of overlapping some of the specs of the Air 2. This means that a possible Mavic 3 is just gonna destroy these specs. But this could be another whole video. Okay, let me think. I will do a bit about this. I think it's interesting. These overlapping specs and all that. Yeah, maybe. But let's keep talking about Chivo's notes. He claims that 249 grams are not the solution to all our existing problems. Okay, that's correct. I said that it helped you a lot, but it truly is not the end of all of your problems. People may think you can do whatever you want. I mean, not getting fees, no need for permits and so on, but that's not quite true. And specifically in some countries, many really are more flexible on this, but some other countries are as hard on them as on bigger drones. It's important at this point that you always check your local laws and don't think now that you can fly over crowds or in the city or do whatever you want so easily because you have a light drone. Now comes the part that I honestly believe that I forgot talking about on the previous video, and it's important, okay? Sensors and APAS. It's true, without sensors you're way more likely to crash the drone. And as a beginner, your chances of crashing your first drone are high, honestly. We've all been there. I crashed my Phantom 3 a couple of times. Yes, definitely good old times. Chivo said here that when you start gaining confidence and start believing that you're a pro, you will do more risky shots and crash it. True. Chivo talks about a guy named Murphy that will put a tree or a rock building right in your drone's returning to home path, trying to destroy it. Yes, well, focus track, hyperlapse, 8K, and you know, more quick shots. Well, sorry Chivo, but I already told you that these things are not important really to me. I mean, focus track, well, that's a good option to start learning manually to follow cars or whatever you want to film. It's true, of course, it's much easier with that focus track, but I can't live without that, me personally. If you're a biker, maybe it's the key for you. So yeah, that can be important, but it's not for most people, I believe. Hyperlapse, I don't know. I did it once and that's it. And the extra quick shot, I don't know. I think the only moment I do quick shots is for filming the reviews, because who does boomerang shots on a daily basis anyway? You know, you're getting my point, I believe. Summing up, as I said on the previous video, having both drones OcuSync 2.0, 4K now, a difference of just 2 minutes in flight autonomy, you know, 33 minutes versus the 31 minutes of this drone, and the smaller one being way more handy and with some advantages of weighing only 249 grams, yes, well, I can reassure myself on thinking that the Mini 2 is still a better purchase option if you're new to this and have no drone. And yes, DJI kind of pushes you to buy the Mini 2 with these specs, because why? Well, because it's a beginner-friendly drone, but you may eventually see its limitations after quite some time, so this may be a strategy to make you buy more of their products. That's interesting, I believe, and that goes a bit into the line of the video I told you before that I was gonna think a little bit and shoot, and yeah, I think that's gonna be interesting, definitely. Well guys, I really hope that you liked this video. Leave a like if you made it this far, and sub if you are not, and also like for Chivo for bringing me the papers, and you know, be happy and safe these days, and always remember to keep calm and talk UAV.